Welcome. He's returned. Fu, if you saw from that last epic game there with APA solidifying again that they were able to go up against ONIC Rise once more. Commiserations to Wababoos. They did the best that they could, and they're still in it for the final. So we'll see how it goes through seeding here. But you were here when ONIC was able to take down APA. So do you think APA has something happening here as we are moving into the draft scene for them here? Like, what are they going to do now? Because they've lost against this team 2-0.
I mean, this situation, I think that we would like to watch as casters, right? A team that has a second chance at taking down who has, I guess, 2-0 them in the round number 3. And looking at the ban straight away, I was thinking in my head whether Phalanx or Blaziken would come out straight into the ban jail, but it seems like both teams are going for the evolutions, which is not
Mm.
surprising as a Sylveon and an Umbreon are going to be banned from both sides.
Yeah, that's a very it's always kind of funny to me that we see a Sylveon getting banned, but obviously AP sees that enough of a threat for them to do
Mm.
it, and with that right now we can see that ONIC is choosing to ban the Phalanx there, but this does open up doors for that Blaziken. So we are going to see if APA is going to take a squander at that Pokemon, or will they give it up to Team ONIC?
Yeah, it seems like the Cramorant is going to
Man,
be the
popular,
choice for
very
the APA
always a
here.
popular choice there for these
Yeah, always a popular
guys.
choice,
Yeah.
and I think it's definitely super exciting. I'm keen to see how ONIC actually responds to this, because like you said, Blaziken is up, but they're gonna go with the Hooper. Zoe putting the Hooper there and the Mimikyu, which I think it's not a bad choice, but the fact that it's picked so early, I feel like it gives APA a chance to think about how they want to deal with this Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, look, we did talk about earlier how Mimikyu and Bro are probably one of the few Pokemon that can stop Cramorant, and with Bro being banned, Mimikyu being picked here is definitely a good option for sure to be able to pick
Mm.
early, because then they only have a few ones against it. But geez, I got a little excited for seeing Sarah Lynch, but we can't have that happen, right? So we do see Axecu picking up that Espeon and Mamoswine as well. So I think Gatlu said as well with Team ONIC, they're an amazing team. They're going to be heading to Worlds, and they do pick Pokemon that is meta and current. And what's very, very scary about them, as we've seen, is they're just so precise as a team. They're so well coordinated. They know exactly what they need to do to get that W, and we're going to see how APA is going to respond to this, because it's kind of we they're going back for round 3 essentially, right, Fu? But it's in terms of team comp, I guess in a sense, it's almost the same that they have to go against for the third time.
Yeah, I mean for sure, and it's kind of like they're this immovable force at the moment because they've been, I guess, just wiping through the winners bracket. They've 2-0'd every single team they've went up against. And some of the Pokemon we see very common that they like to pick is that Mamoswine as well. I was hoping it does come out, but the Zoroark, I don't think we've actually seen a Zoroark today by them.
No.
So I'm interested to see how it actually goes into Pokemon such as a Cramorant, a Trevenant as well. But I feel like the Mamoswine is really there, just be taking the bulk out of all those poke of Cramorant and Mew, which no one has picked up once again. So this is going to be quite interesting for me in the sense that ONIC is still opting for the kind of like a mid-range poke compared to no one on that Mew, which we talked about how it just really outranges it in every scenario with those
Yeah.
solar beam capabilities of it. So I mean, the job for Zoroark here is to really get to the backline and pressure the Mew into either not using that solar beam or having to use Surf to get out or baiting out the Unite moves and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
Cramorant should be able to get out of that Zoroark, to be honest. But don't forget, there is that Mimikyu still on the side of
Yes.
Rise that they could just, lock down the Cramorant Unite or stop the
Yes.
Blaziken from securing. So let's
Yeah.
see how it goes. This is game number 1 of the finals, Nuggy.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting stuff. APA is opting more for a kind of a fight and secure kind of type of Pokemon team comp here. We do see ONIC going ahead and going for more of that counter of the mons that they've chosen. You're right. If Zora can't get the job done, you do have a Mimikyu on standby as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how APA is going to be able to defend their key players here. And I think one of the key players, which you guys have talked about before, is going to be this Torchic. He needs to get those levels earlier on. Otherwise, if you trail behind, you're just stuck in farming mode, and you're just going to not be able to help out your team with the objectives and stuff. So we do see Gossifleur trying to protect the central at the start here. Zora being in the other side for Team ONIC just a happy-go-lucky right now. Mimikyu getting a little bit of an attack. Does X speed out a little bit early. So right now, just kind of testing the waters between these teams. Already 3 at the top pad, so this is really aggressive. Nice to see from APA, but how long can they hold this, and will they be able to get that Torchic into a combustion before the first set of Wild Altaria and Swablues?
I think very well just to delay the aggression coming out from APA at the start, because they want that Zorak to get that level 5 for this gank, right? Mew is there with coaching, which is, we know, is fantastic in terms of burst damage capabilities, and I really like the fact that Espeon has taken the initiative to rotate up for these birds, because this is going to be a 4v3, hopefully in favor of Rise here, as teams like engaging. Look at that Fate jumping all the way to pick up that Torchic Nuggy, and the Mew is just trying to, you know, dodge with this Glossy Fur here. But I mean, when it's a 4v2 scenario, there are going to be some dunks coming in from Team Rise.
No, this is just beautiful food. We talked about precise strikes. Zoroark had that objective. Go for that Torchic. Just delay him as long as you can. And the longer you delay him, the bigger advantage you are going to be giving your team. Right now, Zoroark in a little bit of trouble. Manages to come back with the trust of its teammates right then and there. Hooper saving that Zoroark as well. To see Zoroark just do that so aggressively with no fear is amazing, and just shows how much trust these guys have within each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at this, the top pad is already on 6, so definitely very aggressive start for ONIC Rise here, picking out that Mew as well. I mean, Feint is just a great moveset, I think, going into whatever APA has drafted here, because it allows you to synergize with that Shadow Claw Nuggy and absolutely stun something like the Mew or the Cramorant. They won't be able to actually counter it if they get into the space of that Feint attack. And even more aggression as they're going to be in the central area once more. I mean, a level 8 Zoroark and a level 7 Swine to begin the game. I mean, this is really, really good news. And another one, Nuggy. I mean,
the poor Torchic. Yeah, like, just... I mean, 8 in a minute, essentially, and like, this is what we need for. This is where it gets extremely difficult. APA not able to get anywhere right now. The score's still flatlining, as we can see, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that APA has been having against ONIC. And they've never had that opportunity to be able to gain even an equalizer in score or whatnot. They're always playing from behind, and you can see how strong Eeyore is right now on that Zoroark. Goes straight for the backline with this Unite, getting rid of that Trevenant. Cram just barely able to make it out there, but the isolation that Team ONIC is doing right now is absolutely insane. Cram can't even get in there right now, and right there, Espeon gets an easy secure on Reg Ice, and you can see the aggression, the Pillow Swine that we haven't even addressed so far this game till now has been doing phenomenally well, and Zoroark is just there, taking the picks out from that backline over and over again.
Yeah, and action continues, but looks like a little bit more aggression might come out from Team APA here. Now, too bad the Electroball does not manage to take down that Pillow Swine, so the Mew is still going to stuck on that level 7. I think this is the time for ONIC Rise to even, take down this bottom pad here. They want more. I mean, they're just ridiculous in terms of how relentless they've been, right? I think the portal is so good, Nuggy, here, to make sure the Zoroark is just constantly coming in to the fight, because they know the Zoroark is very confident with who it's targeting. And look at this. No one can seem to take down the Zoroark at the moment. No,
his awareness right now, Eeyore, is just amazing. He saw what was coming, ejected out of the way, and look, comes back from the Hooper portal, gets rid of a Blaziken just like that. And it's just so scary to see about this Worlds team right now, just really putting up a master class on showing us why they are so dominant in this region. They just know what comes next before even APA can react to it, and you can see right then and there just the aggression that they're showing, the scoring that they're doing, breaking another pad down, and Zoroark going straight on the double back line. Cram and Mew had no chance there as they're moving forward. Hooper unbound, another set of scores going down. Is this going to be a breakdown of another pad in literally, what, 30 seconds? Even less.
Yeah, things are getting a little bit dicey here for Team APA. A level 12 Zoroark is going to be very, very scary, and he's just relentless. I feel like this might be a tough situation here as the Cramorant, the Elder Gods, everyone is just running after Eeyore at the moment. But yet again, as we've seen time and time, the Hooper is just there to help to get out. And look at this, full HP, back at it again. I honestly feel like Team APA needs to consider whether they even want to fight in these engagements, whether it's worth taking these fights for these objectives. Because the top Reggie went in, but the pad's not broken. They're just so obsessed with trying to take down this Reggie Rock looking Zorak at the moment, Nucky.
Now, like, look, I think they're falling into the bait of just really trying to take down an opponent to get that catch-up experience, but there's no point in trying to take it down if you can't actually get the job done. And they have all this farm that they can do, slowly go into a more defensive position, if you will, so they can catch up, but they are just so involved here. You can see everyone from ONIC teams comes back as well. They do try to isolate that there, but Zorak gets rid of the Blaziken. You can see he's still going forward as well. Hooper getting rid of the Trevenant, and they just finally get rid of that Mamoswine, which is going to be a little bit of a reprieve, but you can see Espeon countering in kind. Zorak just gets a little annoyed maybe that his scoring got stopped and takes out the Mew with him, and he might go down here. We're not sure. It's going to be close, and he finally goes down, Food. This is a victory for APA. Great catch-up experience. You know, they tried for over 6 minutes now, and hopefully this instills a little bit of a fighting spirit for APA to kind of backtrack, get ready, reassess, and let's go for round 2 here.
Yeah, and you know, to the benefit of APA, the pads are only broken for the top first tier. So there's actually no threat of like a home base Regieleki, which means they're still holding in. They just need to make sure that they keep up in terms of getting that experience back. There's still plenty of yellow dots or wild Pokemon on the map for them to capture here. I'm not sure whether this top Regieleki is the play, because the Hooper is there ready to pull anyone up. The Zorak is coming. Trevor gets a 12 in, but this could look a little bit dire for them as the Mamoswine is going to successfully... No! They get knocked out there, and Mamoswine will go down.
Nice!
And look at this. Perhaps more experience on the side of APA going there. The Zorak gets taken up by the one more time. The Trevor Unite comes through. The Mew beams are going out. The Psychic Solaire just defends so well though, Nuggy. Look at this, just shut down any sort of offense there. But don't forget, it's 30 seconds to the final stretch. A lot of Unites were popped out on the side of both teams. Was it smart in terms of that? What do you think?
I mean, Trevenant, Phantom Forest in exchange for Psychic Solaire from the Espeon, not too bad. Everyone still has their Unite moves, so that's okay. They did try to get that pad down, but it's to no avail. With 10 seconds left, Reggie is being done right there. They are losing that positioning as well. You do see APA funneling there, but with the level difference, it's going to be hard. They really need to get a good pick here. Mamoswine getting a little bit caught, though, as we go into the Ray. Lots of fights going through right there. Unbound being played. You can see Blaziken doing the objective straight away. There goes the Mew Unite move as well, going into the backline. Espeon, though, getting rid of that Trevenant. Cram's already down. Unite move not even able to be used. Mamoswine just holding in the Ray pit. As you can see, 3 members of APA is now out for the count, and it was really a comfortable secure here by Team ONIC. ONIC just really rose to that occasion, pushed through to their territory, and took them down. Just really... what is it? Befuddled. They were just befuddled. They couldn't get together at that fight.
I think something that was really exciting that I love to watch from Hooper players is an aggressive Hooper Unite. We understand that Hooper Unite can get people out of tough situations, but there, ONIC Rise really showed they can use it in a very aggressive sense as well. Mew is just able to live on the single cliff from the Zorak dashing in. But you know, at this point, Nuggy, there is more than 500 points difference. Another 100 will go in from the Espeon as well. This is just a great showing of how dominant a speedster Pokemon like Zorak can be without even a comfy. I mean, it was just nuts from the get-go, right? They hit that level 5 in the central area, and I know Hooper Unbound is going to be able to defend this pad as well. Members of APA just struggled to just find a way to combat this Zorak. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think Slowbro was part of the band in terms of the Pokemon taken out. So there is really nothing apart from Mimikyu, which ONIC Rise has taken to stop the Zorak. And look at this, another one. I'm so keen to see how many KOs this Pokemon had at the end, because it was great, I guess, attempt from APA to try to stop the Zorak, but at the end of the day, it just seemed like everywhere it went, there was just no risk of it going down.
No, EO really showed how to show that aggression from Speedster, right? From start to finish. Just not giving Team APA a chance to breathe, a chance to reassess and think about the game plan. And I think one of their key mistakes that they may have done at that Ray fight was we did see Blaziken trying to start that Ray, and it just kind of divided Team APA as they were getting just assaulted by Team ONIC there, just in terms of just being put pressurized on them, and Blaziken just was no longer in position for that, and it was just too difficult for them to be able to come back from that. And yeah, like again, it sounds like I'm a broken record, but for the third time, Fu, it just looks like Team ONIC is able to apply so much pressure that there was not a single time that APA could just kind of at least even equalize there. They did get a little bit of a reprieve in the mid to end game stage, but by that point, look at like Eel, that damage. Like as a speedster, you got to be happy with that. 18 KOs as well. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I mean that's just really sums it up quite well in terms of the impact they had on that game, right? And that's not to discredit any of Onyx's teammates as well. I feel like the Mamoswine and the Hooper definitely did a very good job at setting up some of these plays and
Oh,
stopping
definitely.
Pokemon such as a Trevenant that could stop the Zorak in the tracks. And don't forget, those Espeon Unites were so well timed in order to just CC a bunch of Pokemon. And I mean, when you have Pokemon that just I guess grabbed in the air, Nuggy. There's nothing better for a Zorak just to dash
Yes.
through and
Yes.
get those resets and obviously the fact that Feint attack can actually target a specific Pokemon for its final, I guess, slash, as we saw, the poor Torchic at the start of that game.
That he
I
had
mean,
the worst time.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that is probably something that APA needs to think about going into this second game here. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a best of three, right? There is an opportunity for even a bracket reset if APA can think about how they can, I guess, adapt to the situation. But just all through today, Onyx Rise has just shown us they don't need to play, I guess, very, very, I guess, long range Pokemon. If they're
No.
confident at diving you, you're gonna be the team that's kind of second guessing whether having just Pokemons or playing like
Yeah.
squishy mons is the way to go, right? And
Yeah.
we know Phalanx is banned out from that. No Umbreon. And it was APA that banned out Slowbro, so they kind of shot themselves in the foot for this Zorak to
Yeah,
form.
oh wait, they did it so that they could pick Cram, right? And be like,
Mm.
okay, we're not gonna get stopped. But they just didn't anticipate the Zorak and Mimikyu potentially going after the Cram, and it was just very difficult for them. And I guess at this point in time, you kind of, in a way, feel a little bit sorry for APA because they're the ones who have to face them again and again and again, and they just haven't had that advantage. So in a mental mindset perspective here, I think they're in trouble because they just haven't
Mm.
found an answer yet, and they're now on the chopping block for the potentially the final game of the night, guys, which is crazy how quick it's been to reach this state. So we are, we are going to round two now. So Fu, tell me, what can APA do here? What can they do? Let's try and think basics for them or something. Do they? What's the answer for this? Because ONIC is so scary right now.
Yeah, they definitely are very scary, but I don't think banning out a Zorak really solves the problem here because,
No.
we know how talented Eeyore is in terms of all the Pokemon that they can play. So I think instead of banning out specific Pokemon, they really need to think about how to actually work as a team to take down those heavy divers, which is what Onyx Rise has shown us today, right? They've showcased just a brilliance of all the different Pokemon can just get into the back line and do some massive damage. Now, Slowbro ban on the side of Onyx Rise, so this is going to be kind of the flip of the or to turn of the tables, right? Sylveon ban again, not surprising. Cram ban is so interesting to me, Nuggy. I feel like that's kind of a waste of a ban, in my opinion.
I guess they didn't want to go against it. A lot of the teams that would ban something like that is either a respect ban to the opponent, or it's
But the
meta,
Phalanx
or they
comes
just don't want
through.
to go.
They're giving
Well,
Phalanx, Nuggy. Oh.
I don't know their mindset, man. Like I'm trying to help give them justification of what they did, but they've let a failings through. So I mean, look, there are failings counters. Okay, I know he's strong. I know he's incredibly strong, but we're gonna wait and see what APA has up their sleeve. Do they pick Lucario? Do they pick Venusaur? The ones that can actually stop it. It looks like ONIC is Zoe's opted for the Elder Gust as well. You can see Eol. Will he go Zorak again? This is going to be interesting as Mew and Umbreon is picked up.
I think they might go Lucario here, Nuggy. In the match that they had before where they started off with Phalanx, they did very well with Lucario because Lucario we know is also a counter to Phalanx. But it looks
Yes.
like they're gonna opt for the Trevenant here instead. So it might still be a possible pick for Eeyore to choose
There you go.
a top lane. And there we go. So they do give the Lucario to the opposition side. So maybe they're like, you know what? We're not too afraid of it. We heard what Gatlu said. We don't need to pick. We don't need to pick Lucario as a potential counter to their own failings here. Blissey coming out from APA as well. Now it's really interesting, right, Nuggy? I'm curious to see how they can actually, or what all rounder they want to pick in terms of going into that Umbreon, that Lucario, and that Mew as well, which is what I guess APA likes to play. Perhaps it is the round 2 on Zorak. I'm not sure. Blaziken will be picked for them. I think it's a very smart pick though, because Blaziken does go quite well.
I mean, I'm actually surprised how ONIC was able to get away with Phalanx and Blaziken on the same team. Like it's kind of scary to see. Now I can see Lucario working. Bliss Assist onto the Lucario. That works out well. Pikachu, honestly, it's a bit of a tough one. I'm not sure what Pikachu's going to be able to do as much there, but I guess if it's going the Thunderbolt move, then that's on the Phalanx. That's not too bad. I feel something is lacking from Team APA here. It just looks like Onyx team picks, like in terms of draft, they're just so strong. Now, to have 2 of the current metas there as well.
Something I don't understand, Nuggy, is definitely the Pikachu pick, because in my opinion, it doesn't go well into any members of ONIC Rise. Like, if I was ONIC Rise at the moment and I see a Pikachu being picked, because don't forget, they also have a Mew, right? So one of these have to be taking the jungle, or sort of like a split. Like, my thought process is the Mew's going to take that red buff and then go up to gank top, and the Pikachu takes the blue buff in a bit, whereas Lucario plays that conventional top side. However, like, if I'm like a Phalanx or a Trevenant or Blaziken and I see a Pikachu, that's really no trouble for the all-rounders.
No.
And if they do go Volt Tackle, they're going to be susceptible to the Trevenant CC. So I'm very interested to see where like the direction for Pikachu actually goes in terms of this game. But like I said, we're only casters, we're not players. We don't know anything compared to what strategy they're going to bring out. All I know is that Lucario, Blissey going to be top, and it's going to go against I guess one of the evolutions and the Philosopher as well. So probably stacks on the table for this Lucario.
It's definitely going to be interesting for sure, but this is probably also part of maybe a mental thing for APA. I can't understand it. Maybe they're a little bit lost in a solution to go up against ONIC, so, or maybe they have a secret source up that we haven't seen before, so we're gonna have to wait and see as it progresses here. Phalanx already at the bottom side alongside its buddy Fat Hump. It is going to be a 2-on-2 at the bottom, but Combustion is there ready to go, and I would say, like, to be here this early is a very, very good sign as they're going through. But you can see Pikachu doing a little bit of attack here, but there is a 3-on-3 engage at the top path right then and there. Looks like Pikachu is trying to get that secure. Nice little beam there from the Mew. Lucario in a little bit of trouble, manages to get away there. So no one actually got KO'd here. Scores are still level. And so far, this is okay. Okay, you know what? Pikachu, there is a reason. Pikachu got rid of Phantom. So this is a good start for APA.
I mean, they definitely have to keep their, I guess, aggression that early game as well. They cannot let this Phalanx just run away for free. Phalanx bot lane is very interesting as well. They really switched it up here. The SPL is going to take that top, which I think it's a decent way to go, because if they know they can absolutely, I guess, win the matchup between Phalanx and Pikachu, then I think bot lane's probably a better way to go rather than going into that Lucario. The middle birds are going to be spawning out very soon. Now, this Combustion looks like to be in a little bit of a tough situation. Forces the eject, but the booster will not be able to take it out. However, all those experience in this mid pad is going to likely go on the side of the Orange Team APA over here. So that is a good trade at the end of the day. This Trevenant looks like it's in a bit of a tough situation. The Woodhammer comes in, but here comes the Phalanx, Nuggy. And I mean, the show has started, hasn't it?
Yeah, Phalanx is already like scary at this point. Not sure how they're going to combat this right here. Phalanx already going in for a nice doozy of a score, and like this is where they're going to start to struggle a little bit. You got Pikachu going with the Volt Tackle there, but to no avail. Nice, just basically counter of the passive from the Espeon, and now Umbreon managing to get rid of the Eldegoss though. So that's kind of good. No support, but they are fighting a little bit of a losing battle here because it was close, and then in a split minute you can see that ONIC is ahead by over 100 points, and now Phalanx just going in and out with the no retreat and just heading on in there. 5 members of APA unable to deal with this Phalanx right now. That's one of the scariest things. Now they do have Regirock, but look at that isolation there. Great move by Trevenant getting rid of the Mew and Lucario as well. Espeon with that Psychic Solaire. Espeon getting a 2 KO with the Umbreon as well. And throughout that whole ordeal, Phalanx wasn't really a problem in that.
Well, I mean, Phalanx has this Unite move at the moment, but they don't really need it. They can hold on
No,
to the
exactly,
next push
yeah.
at the same time, this Regieleki has been converted by the Blaziken, who so happens to also take that red buff as well. So things are really on the board for ONIC Rise over here as they're just popping the Unite move to circle to the central area. Lucario goes down on top. They don't even need Regieleki to score, it seems, as it goes in. The top hat is on 29. They do break as well. And I mean, if there was any indication of how much ONIC Rise wants this, it is here at the moment. Blaziken getting that move switch with that overheat to just take out half HP of that Blissey. Mew pops Unite to try to live that fight as well. Umbreon goes down to Blaziken. Nuggy, the Mew go down as well, and the Blaziken is still in the playing field as well. We know E-Speed Lucario is a counter to Phalanx, but they're not targeting them at all because the Phalanx is just going to run through with the Blaziken. And I mean, that is a fantastic fight if you're on the side of ONIC Rise, because they got away with no one actually knocked out.
It didn't even, yeah. It didn't even feel like it was at all a threat for any of these guys from ONIC right now. Like, they just, one word that would describe them in terms of what they're doing objectively and everything, it is flawless. They just know what to do, what to expect, and even with the rotation, you know, Phalanx versus Lucario, not a good matchup. You know what? We're going to put Espeon on top instead, and it just worked out really well from them. So this is troubling. I still am trying to find something for Pikachu to have an answer for here. I don't know if this is going to be it, but you can see they are like insanely ahead, almost 300 points there, just happily go lucky going through APA's central farm, just walking wherever they are, or just getting ready to do the objectives. And it's just, there's no threat that I can see right now through of what APA can do to catch up here. You can see they're getting, Phalanx just catches out that Umbreon, deletes, gone. See you later, Umbreon, for another 10 seconds or so. And it's just so much map control that ONIC is showing here.
Definitely. I think map control is very important. When Pikachu pops their Unite, but just gets shut down instantly by no retreat. Lucario has to retreat. I mean, have you ever seen a Lucario run away from a Phalanx like that? Because this tree Eldegoss combo is going to be a little bit too scary. The knockup from the Connor this is going to be huge for Lucario. But Espeon comes through to straight away Unite and stop this Lucario from attacking the Phalanx anymore. The Pikachu goes down straight away. It's just a poor Mew to defend this pad. 1v4, 1v5, it is just not good enough. And, you know, as the cherry on top or the insult to injury, Nuggy, the Umbreon is stuck in Regieleki jail because it was about to walk in.
Yeah, he can't do anything right now. The offensive power, this is what we talked about draft food, just to give a team like ONIC access to a Blaziken and Phalanx is just insane. And as you said, in that team fight, the Bliss assist did come in, but XQ was ready with the counter of Espeon's Psychic Solaire just as soon as Bliss assist was done. So they got popped up in the air, can't do anything. And it was just, ONIC is so scary good here, and you can see why they are just top contenders for the upcoming Worlds, just because they know how to counter, they know how to play to their strengths. It's all synergy, and it just feels like on APA's side, there's not a lot of it on theirs. And even now they're trying to find some sort of farm, can't find any. There's none to be had.
No, but this is dangerous though for Team ONIC Rise. If they don't play this properly, a huge meme coming out. That is the engage they're looking for, but the Blaziken is going to be able to take down the Lucario, trade it for themselves as well. Mew has to serve out. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen the failings be below 50% HP or this game, which I think is a great shout out to the Elder Gods to keep it sustained as well. But like you said again, they're just starving Team APA of any farm possible. This Trevenant might be in a tough position here. Has to just try to get out of the way, but look at this, a huge wood combo is going to be able to knock out the Lucario with the failings there. I mean, Mean Look is a great choice to lock out one member, but when there's just like a death ball coming at you, one member taken out is not really going to be an issue here. So very, very scary scenes now for APA as this Regieleki is going to be converted 10 seconds before the final stretch.
Yeah, this is almost spells doom. That you could see that APA is going for a last-ditch effort there, but with the Regieleki going into the home pad and having an over 400-point lead, it's going to be tough. You can see Trevenant trying to really just stay there, protect ONIC. ONIC has no worry at all. You can see Failings maybe baiting alongside with Blaziken, but the level difference is just too huge. There goes the head-on collision from Failings. Mu has to eject out of the way. Blaziken just there. Bliss assist on top of the Lucario. He's trying to do something with it. There goes Lucario's Unite, but Espeon again with the counter. Espeon just getting rid. Jesus, so quick. Lucario, Blissey, Pikachu, and Umbreon goes down before you know it. And now that's a team wipe on top of the fact that the Regieleki went in. It was just too overwhelming for Team APA to be able to do anything, and this is going to be an absolutely scary final for anyone to go up against Team ONIC, because I believe, Fu, that they've just gone through an entire sweep without dropping a game.
I mean, it's definitely a great showcase for what they can get up to for those for these finals coming up in July, right? I mean, teams watching this, knowing that they're in the same region for the finals, are definitely going to be, you know, paying a little bit more attention to how Team ONIC Rise plays. They've really risen to the occasion, haven't they? I mean, they are going to be number one today for our qualifiers for the Asia Pacific region, and this is the reason why. I mean, 944 to 12 points. That is an achievement in itself. This Failings is unstoppable. I just realized there is Snarl coming out from the Umbreon, so actually they went all in. They went all in, Nuggy, for the CC, but it just wasn't enough, was it? As just points, it goes over 4 digits now. I mean, this is game over for APA, but I think at the same time, we can't be too sad on the side of APA, because they have made it into the grand finals of the qualifying stages. They have secured themselves a very good seed going into this final.
Yes, they are in a good spot. And the only thing, I guess, not just them, but a lot of teams will fear, because I would say I feel sorry for APA the most, in a way that they've had to verse ONIC 4 times now. And it's just, in terms of the gap, it's between these two teams is just absolutely massive. And you got to think how they're going to combat this mentally. They're going to really need to change some things to go up against Team ONIC amongst the others as well. But as you said, amongst anything else, if this was any tournament for ONIC, as you said, to rise to the occasion, this is definitely it. They are a team, a force to be reckoned with, and if you're up against them, I wish you guys the best of luck. We will be watching intently, but my gosh, it was just, it's just so devastating to see. Because Fu, like, how would you feel if this was, you know, we've been on this side of the board before when we just couldn't do anything against an opponent, but to stretch out that lead by that far from start to finish, it wasn't just because of a Ray. Like, this situation, Fu, it's not because of Ray. It's literally the whole 9 yards, right? For the first 8 minutes, like, they didn't even get a chance to really do anything at Ray. Even at that last 2 minutes, they got there. They went for their all-in, but the level difference and the positioning, it was not enough. And how would we feel when we were in that position? It's so difficult to come back from that.
I think to paint the story, I guess, from a different perspective, I think it's kind of one of those teams where you have a group of members that are very good in terms of their characters. However, they're not meta characters. So when you pit them up against a team that are, mainly playing that meta mons in that region, it's kind of like I wouldn't say losing from the get-go, but it's very difficult from the draft seed, right? As we talked about, the Pikachu pick was very, very interesting with the Mew jungle, which I think the Mew jungle gank is a very viable option. However, because the other members of the team don't do too well in terms of the matchups, they're kind of climbing two mountains, right? One mountain is obviously going up against a very strong team, but the other one is just going up against a little bit handicapped in terms of the matchups, right? Like I
Yeah.
said, Pikachu picked Volt Tackle and Thunder, which is a viable moveset into something like a lot of Speedster heavy comps, but you're not going to do much against the Blaziken if you just Volt Tackle them
No.
with Thunder. Do you know what I
No.
mean?
No, you're correct.
Especially if there's a phalanx on the field, and I think that's
Yeah.
why Pikachu obviously
I
struggled into that, and
I
unfortunately, that is just gonna be the
yeah.
matchup. You can't really do much.
I feel like Pikachu was maybe chosen a game too late when Eel was Zoroark. That Volt Tackle would have been somewhat helpful there for the Zoroark
Mm,
game, but definitely not in this one, especially with the amount of shielding, unstoppable, and control that Team ONIC has here with their showcase of Pokemon there. And look, it's off season. They're practicing. They're doing what they can. But in terms of what we see from what ONIC is showing right now, I would be quite worried if I was teams going up against ONIC leading into Y. So this is great practice, not just for them, but for a lot of teams out there as well. They're showcasing their skills. They're making sure, like, hey guys, feel free to watch us. This is what you're going to have to deal with, and they've done that really well. So I can't wait to see what Zenti thinks about this set. Zenti, like, this is APA's chance to try and do something about it, but I feel like the results were kind of the same as what they were earlier in the matches against them. So, uh, anything you'd like to add to this, Zenti? Is ONIC just that good of a team? Can other teams do something against these guys?
Hello. Hi. Yes. So there's actually a couple of things happening here. I think game one draft was very well done by Rice, honestly. So when you're playing against a team that you have already 2-0'd in this tourney, you are feeling very confident. You believe that you're like the stronger team, right? Hoopa goes from A S tier to beyond God tier. The macro advantage Hoopa provides in a game where only one team gets it. If you are, like, better and you get Hoopa, the effect
mm,
compounds. Like,
mm.
the 2 parts become the combination of the 2 parts become greater than just the sum, right?
Yeah,
And it's an incredibly important pick, and it got banned in game 2 for probably that reason. I do think it's, a little greedy of them to pick, Hyperspace Hole instead of Trig with Mimikyu and Zoroark on the team, but it worked out for them. And so another thing is they have Zoroark, they have Espeon, right? If we're talking about early game oppressive laning, like Espeon, up there.
yeah,
Zoroark, there's not much worse on first speeds, right? They're playing a playstyle that is much more rare in today's like Unite than it was on like Zapdos map, right? Where we would have the early game characters like Pikachu, Lucario, like really dominating the lanes and like maybe having one scaler in the jungle. It's much more common to see like team comps or like double scaling, like Blazing and Cramorant nowadays. It is easier to scale, it feels, especially with 2 XP shares running around. And okay, sorry. I just needed some water.
no,
The
that's
other
okay.
thing, yeah. So basically, what they're doing is they're keeping the pressure up. I do think that Um, Aqua has an incredibly good draft, right? Their comp is incredible. Like, if you're talking team fights, that comp is incredible. And the only reason ONIC is letting this happen is because they believe they can keep that pressure going from the first minute all the way until the end. It's a very high risk, high reward playstyle they take, but it is game one. Like, even if they fumble, they don't think they're going to fumble. It's unlikely, but even if they do, they have fallback games, right? So they are able to play a more greedy comp game one. And they do have a secure as well, which is something I wanted to touch on. I think it's very important that you have a secure on your comp, like somewhere, anything. In this case, it's Beam on Espeon, right? But you don't
Yeah.
want to go into a comp with Eldegoss, with Blaze again, with Mew, Cramorant. Like, if that comp presses all their unites at the objective, it's very easy to lose the objective if, like, your best secure is Shadow Claw from Mimikyu or something. So I think it's important to ensure that you have it. And then we had a timestamp, I think, at 7:30. Yes, here. We end up seeing a fight for bot lane, right? If we look at levels, it's pretty even. Coming up, sorry, it's a bit early. I would probably like to see Aqua here on purple team. The names are backwards, right? Mm, I would have liked seeing them going for top objective because they are late to
Yeah.
bottom.
Yeah.
They are in a level deficit. They're fighting against Unites. They are holding a decent amount of points. When you are this behind, your points are actually really valuable. They gain value when you're this behind because it's harder to get them. And it's more important that you score them to break outers. So going down here, trying to defend this pad against a team that has the Reggie buff, that has the level lead without having a single unite of your own is a bit futile. It's not going to gain them anything. And when you're behind, what you need is you don't really want a stalemate. You need to give up a little bit of value to recover in a burst later. Like, say you get all of your unites and you make a push right before the next Reggie. Suddenly you can come back in the game, catch people off guard. But the worst thing that can happen is that you end up in a stalemate where you're kind of like fighting bot lane against the enemy team. Because when a team has the lead, they're gaining a lot more passive experience over the entire map, right? So the lead is only going to widen. Like, they're pushing their incremental advantages, playing safe without risking anything, and just growing the lead over time. So I think taking a step back, giving something up to gain more is like an answer that they needed to do around both games around the like 6-minute mark. They need to take a step back, like establish where they want to be and how to come back and make a big play. You can't take a passive role when you're behind, in my opinion. I was curious if Gatlu had any opinions or someone else here. We have a lot of talented casters.
I
Oh, I think I'm muted. Nuggy and I touched on that for a little bit with that Zorak
Mhm,
game because it felt like around that 6 minute mark that you're talking about, the
mhm,
entire team was just tunnel visioned on trying to take down the Zorak when
yeah.
they could have just let it run somewhere else and then just focused on getting some of those level back. Obviously, if you do take down that Zorak, which they did, I think only twice, you do get that level in terms of experience. But like you said, the risk of that is way larger, right? Than if you just focused on trying to get it back through like traditional means. And at the end of the day, like the Zorak, if you take it down, the rest of their team is also very high level. So like, is it really worth committing 5
No,
people to
yeah.
take one?
It wasn't worth because they lost that map control as well. They could have spent time to break pads or push other lanes and do that scoring as well. I think as Zenti said earlier that the Hooper Zoe was just phenomenal, the map awareness and just keeping that Zorak up and running amongst the other teammates as well. At the critical points of juncture, for him to escape over and over again was probably just extremely frustrating for APA. And then they just, windshields just down straight Zorak. They must try and do it. So I think they just lost the plot a little bit of the rest of the game because one Pokemon was causing them so much grief. And I would feel the same, that Torchic I felt so bad for that Torchic. Just Zorak knew the objective and he just couldn't get online for the longest time. And yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, sure thing.
All right, let's have a look
We
at game 2 then, Zenti. Yeah.
Yes, the full draft, yeah.
Mm.
So
I was
here,
scared by this Venti. Yeah.
Yeah, you were scared by this?
Yes, I was. I mean, I think Fu felt the same when we. I don't know. I just didn't know how this
Yeah.
happened, but yes, I'm very
Yeah.
curious.
So it's kind of interesting because we do see the Hoopa ban. I do think that is the most important thing. They either pick it first or they ban it because it evens out the game state to a point where you have much more of a foothold. Um,
Mm.
if you want to do if you think you are never going to win a team fight against a team like this is when you bring out the flip comp. Bring on the flip comp. Hear me. Score comp, flip comp, do something.
Yeah.
You need chaos. You need more variables. You need to introduce more random things, random elements that the enemy can't predict. Bring out your comfort picks. Bring out the guard jump. Bring out whatever, right? Do something that catches them off guard. You need to change the tempo and get back in your own mind games. You were talking about it. They were chasing a Sorok around the entire mid game last game, right? That
Yeah.
is something that really good players can bait, right? They know the tunnel vision that comes from this kind of pressure. Like it's easy to talk about it afterwards, like me, like I'm doing here. I'm just watching, right? But when you're
Yeah.
in the game, the overwhelming pressure to do something now, to catch back up, you've already lost 2 games, right? Y- It's much harder to be objective and take the step back and realize, okay, this is Soric in our jungle. Okay, and should we do something about it? Does it matter? Like, it doesn't actually matter, right? But it's much harder to make that decision when you're in game and there's a juicy Zoroark in the middle of your jungle with 4 people. Like,
Mm.
um, the other extreme that I have seen from like high-end teams, like LG, for example, when they're in situations like this, they're up 3 games against a team. They'll pick something crazy like Magikarp comfy top lane because they feel that it doesn't really matter how early game goes. They can't lose hard enough that they get punished for running something like crazy like Magikarp comfy. That is obviously like possibly the weakest lane in the game, right? And
Mm.
by doing that lane, you get an insane monster at Rayquaza. Imagine a level 14 Gyarados with comfy on it. It's nearly impossible to deal with. We already spoke about a 6-minute mark in this game. But what about the 2-minute mark, if we could go there? So, obviously, this is
Yeah.
very standard practice. Leave the Reggie top lane for 2-10, right? Do it. Now the enemy team is forced to defend it, split up their team. You can start Rayquaza. Now the enemy team has to come center. They're probably going to panic and rush through, as I call it, the choke of death. This is the choke of death. We're watching the choke of death on screen. And when you do that, the enemy team catches you. They know you're coming through there and that you're not full team because they saw Umbreon holding that Reggie, right? So they know they're outnumbering the enemy. They have a level lead and they have Eldegoss. A 4-man Eldegoss Unite. It's like, do you remember the old buddy barrier stacking on the
Yes.
first? Yeah. Having an Eldegoss on the team is essentially like playing against 5 people running buddy barrier when your team didn't. If you're talking about straight mathematically pressuring damage on the enemy, if you're a level or 2 down on top of the Eldegoss, you will never take them down in a team fight.
Yeah.
Like, if the Eldegoss lands, like, an efficient ult. Um, the other thing that I noticed this game, look at, Rice's team and Aqua's team, right? Rice actually has more healing. We already spoke about how Umbreon, like, doesn't have that much healing, right?
Yeah.
And Rice in this game runs 2 cursed items. Aqua runs none. And I think that contributed massively to the hardship of breaking pads. Because if you remove 30% healing on someone standing on a pad, every 2 seconds on the outer pad, right? They get healed 200. After 6 seconds, cursed item has done 200 damage to one person. If it's 2 people, your cursed item has done 400 damage. Like, in one item, in 6 seconds, on the outer pad. Like, it is incredibly efficient as a damage item, but it doesn't show up on the damage after game, right? So the game earlier, I think, we saw someone do like 100k plus. That didn't even account for the cursed. They probably did 20k as well on top of that. But it doesn't show.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely very interesting
Mm.
for that. Yeah, because the item is actually very underrated.
Mhm.
Speaking of, I guess people's analysis as well. Thank you so much, Zenti, for that. Let's bring
Anytime.
Gatlu back to round off his thoughts on this grand final for the qualifying. Gatlu, I know you're watching from behind the scenes. What are your thoughts, especially, I guess, just the final game as well? The draft is really what we were discussing, right?
So the main issue about the draft was the Mew. I think the Mew was a crucial part why the enemy's team composition wasn't working that well. Because especially them playing the Mew jungle again after losing the Mew jungle rotation. But I think there was one issue because sorry, if you play Mew, you wanna get level, and if you play against a team who knows how to punish you and just take everything that is not yours, they were starving the Mew, so the Mew wasn't having the biggest impact. And then combining it with the Pikachu, they didn't really have the biggest carry. Lucario is not the carry, Pikachu is not the carry, Mew is not the carry. They are control mages who support the carry to shine. And they didn't really have that. So it's just showcased that, like you guys said, Rice is a really powerful team. This was the APAC qualifier. Obviously, Rice is already qualified from the world spot, but they did play the qualifier to showcase the skills and get the opportunity to play against other teams. So congrats for them to qualify. But we're gonna look at the schedule now and see which games we have next. So we have the Brazil region tomorrow at 2 p.m. BRT. Then we have the Latam, Korea, NA, and then we have the finals.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of action to come, Gatlu. And speaking of I guess the action we had today, I guess we can quickly go through and recap the qualified teams from this APAC qualifiers. That's going to be Last Hopi, Team Wababoos, AcePack Aqua, Pikachu, Team Katak, WM Aura, and Sugar Sparkles. They're going to be joining them in that Asia finals on the 20th and 21st of July. So that is going to be the event schedule. There is plenty more action in these weeks coming up. I think something that was really cool, everyone, is the just how different each region plays in terms of what they're prioritizing. And I was hoping to go around and I guess ask each one of you guys what was, I guess, your favorite highlight, I guess, of today in the matches that we casted. Maybe we can start with Nuggy. Do you have a? I know we did the finals together. Did you have a specific moment that maybe you're like, ooh, that's gonna be the highlight for today?
You know what? It's. I feel like we've already put them on so much of a pedestal, but ONIC just did so well, and for them to bring out Zoroark, which for me personally, I haven't seen rung amok as of much because you normally kind of pair it with the Comfey. Eeyore just showed us with that game he played how well you can do with that speedster without needing a Comfey and having someone like a Hooper just be there to not just protect you but the teammates as well. I think just how he executed and targeted their late game carry, such as that Torchic, and it was just so devastating. And I think that for me, what he did was definitely a highlight to watch how to shut down the ones that would worry you the most in that end game stage.
I mean, his team was definitely very relieved when the Mew or Cramorant can't really do much damage, especially with
Yeah.
Ignite as well.
Yeah.
Zenti, I mean, you went in depth with so many of these games today. Big shout out for
Mm.
that. Did you have a specific moment? Maybe like a special. You're like, oh, that was really fun to analyze, or just a cool showing of talent. Did you have any moment that you would like to shout out today?
That is a good question. I hmm.
too many to
Cool.
count.
Yeah, sorry, my brain is a little bit fried. There were some interesting things that I probably noticed, but I was so focused on what to do differently. One thing that I'm really curious to see is we see so many stored power espions. It really confuses me, and I'm actually kind of curious what the others think here. If you're to pick an espion as an early game bully, and you're not really threatened by something like Dodrio, would you not like a side shop more as a like early game bully tool?
I mean, the APAC region is an aggressive team. It makes sense that
Yeah.
they play Star Power because they wanna go aggressive. They just wanna go in. It's if
Yeah,
you
okay.
start the Esper, they just keep pressing the Star Power after
Mhm.
ultimate after Psybeam. So they don't wanna play it slow. They just wanna play it aggressively and punish the
Mhm.
enemies.
Yeah,
Quick
no, that
note
makes
to
sense.
the question from Fu. So Yor was playing this Rogue, Nagi said it, and it was pretty interesting to watch. But he did also give a lot of XP, comeback XP. It's the common Zoroark. You get excited and then you just give comeback XP. Quick joke aside. Uh, my favorite part was watching Team Rise just play as a collective, play as a team. For the viewers watching or the 5 stacks that want to play and learn, watch the VODs, learn from Team Rise, learn their early game strategies, learn their draft, because this is highly competitive, professional drafting and playing. This team is really strong right now, and I'm really excited to see how they will play in finals. Because I'm a personal fan of their team, and just the way they play is really, really fascinating.
And just quickly from my end, my favorite was the Ice Fang Mamos where I got to see because from OC we don't really see much Mamo. I think you can agree with that, Nuggy. But seeing Ice Fang Mamo Swine, the moveset that we I guess don't really get to see traditionally in such a competitive way against a Trevenant was really really exciting. And it's always a little bit you feel sorry for the opposition when they just picked out, put down, and then gets like Gardevoir CC'd or Gardevoir bursted down.
Yeah.
So that's something to take home, I think, from our end, Nuggy, from our region as well.
Yeah. Ice Fang is probably one of the most satisfying things. It's annoying, but when you execute it, it's one of the most satisfying things just to pick up something and just throw it to the other side. I can't get enough of it. So definitely, yeah, Mamoswine, agree with you there.
And Zenti, you said you wanted to talk about something regarding
Oh,
the perfect game from Rise?
yes, thank you. That is actually a really interesting one. I think it was game 2 of the first set between Rise and Aqua, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Mm.
Yeah. That game, Aqua's draft was phenomenal, right? They did great. But you were talking about learning from Rise here, and I do concur. Like, there were 3 key moments in that game that they played perfectly in the first, like, 6 minutes, right? And I think that's, like, a really good example for those people interested in watching the VODs. That game in particular.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that is looking to get into that competitive, especially UCS next year, these are just free VODs online for everyone to go and learn from. But I think we'll wrap it up at the moment. We got a couple of thank yous and shout outs to do. So I mean, thank you to everyone watching, as first of all, for supporting this Unity Clash tournament. This is going over multiple weeks, and you can see it's always amazing when we see people from all around the world coming together to watch such talent from all these different regions as well. Shout out to the casters today. We had Rin and Lobo before. We have a Nuggy D here at the moment. We have a Gatlu, and also our analyst today, Zenti. I mean, I've harped on it before. Having someone to analyze these games for the benefit of everyone is always so exciting and I guess novel. That brings a different depth to these, I guess, 10-minute games, right? Big shout out to our producer today, Lordy, for hosting a really I guess smooth run in terms of the transition. The analyst screens to the games, to the casters 2 cams, to the 4 cams. So thank you, Lordy, for that. Radiant Rosanna for the observing today. I mean, there are so many games that we watched today, and it couldn't have been possible without Rosanna in the background, with all the panning and the switching when the moments that mattered the most. Our admins today, Sam, Smiling, Mikasa, and obviously our manager and I guess founder of the tournament, Shavam. I did not forget you this time. So I've definitely ticked that off the list. and to Community Gaming for sponsoring, and I think it's Pandacorn Gaming for powering this tournament. Big shout outs to you guys. Thank you so much for another successful qualifying round for the Asia Pacific. Galu, I'll pass it on to you if you have anything else to add.
I think you wrapped it up pretty well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the qualifiers so far. Tomorrow we're gonna watch Brazil's qualifier, so make sure to catch that stream, and we're gonna see you guys in the next stream.